When did people start getting wasted? The human desire to alter consciousness, to escape, celebrate, or explore the mind goes back as far as civilization itself. From ancient beer brewed in Mesopotamia to modern cocktails and synthetic drugs, getting wasted has always been a central part of human culture. Understanding when and why people started doing it means tracing the origins of fermentation, ritual, and the social meanings of intoxication across thousands of years. The origins of fermentation. The earliest evidence of humans consuming alcohol dates back over 9,000 years. Archaeologists in China have found residues of fermented rice, honey, and fruit in pottery jars from around 7000 BCE in Jiahu, one of the world's first Neolithic villages. These findings suggest that even before written language or the wheel, people were experimenting with ways to turn natural sugars into alcohol. Fermentation itself may have been discovered by accident. Fruits, grains, and honey naturally ferment when exposed to wild yeasts in the air. Early humans likely stumbled upon this process when storing food and realized that fermented drinks not only had a pleasant, mind-altering effect, but were also safer to drink than potentially contaminated water. By 4000 BCE, the ancient Sumerians of Mesopotamia were brewing beer regularly. Clay tablets from around 3100 BCE depict people drinking beer through long straws from communal pots. Beer was such a central part of Sumerian life that they even had a goddess of brewing, Ninkasi, and a hymn written to her that doubled as a recipe for beer. Around the same time, Egyptians were producing beer and wine for both daily consumption and religious offerings. Workers who built the pyramids were famously paid in bread and beer, about 4 liters a day, making intoxication part of their daily labor routine. Intoxication as ritual and medicine. In ancient societies, getting drunk or high was rarely seen as mere recreation. Instead, it was often tied to rituals, spirituality, or medicine. The ancient Greeks and Romans, for example, held festivals in honor of Dionysus, or Bacchus, the god of wine and ecstasy. During these celebrations, participants would drink heavily, dance wildly, and experience what they described as divine madness, a sacred form of losing control that allowed them to transcend ordinary life. In the Americas, indigenous peoples brewed their own forms of alcoholic beverages long before European contact. The Aztecs made pulque from fermented agave sap. The Incas brewed chicha from corn, and North American tribes created various fruit-based drinks for rituals. Intoxication was not about mindless escape, but about connecting with the divine, communing with ancestors, or healing. The same pattern can be seen globally, in Siberian shamanic use of fly agaric mushrooms, in South American ayahuasca ceremonies, and in the use of kava in the Pacific Islands. The expansion of booze and the rise of distillation. The invention of distillation around the 1st century CE marked a turning point. Distillation, heating a fermented liquid to separate alcohol from water, allowed people to produce much stronger beverages. Early distillation techniques were mainly used for perfumes and medicine, but by the Middle Ages, people realized that the process could yield potent spirits. Arab scholars like Jabir ibn Hayyan advanced distillation technology, and by the 12th century, distilled alcohol had spread across Europe. By the 15th and 16th centuries, aqua vitae, or water of life, became widespread in Europe, known today as whiskey, vodka, and brandy. As alcohol became stronger, its cultural meaning changed. What had once been communal and ritualistic became more individualized and recreational. Taverns, alehouses, and inns became central to social life, and getting drunk became not just accepted, but often expected in social gatherings. The age of exploration and global intoxication. European colonialism played a huge role in spreading both alcohol and addiction. Colonizers introduced distilled spirits to indigenous peoples worldwide, often with devastating effects. At the same time, they brought back new intoxicants, tobacco, coffee, tea, and cocoa from the Americas and Asia. These substances transformed global habits. While alcohol dulled and relaxed, caffeine and nicotine stimulated and energized. By the 17th century, Europe was awash in new ways to alter consciousness, and getting wasted became a broad cultural phenomenon encompassing both intoxication and stimulation. Industrialization and the moral backlash. The Industrial Revolution changed drinking culture once again. Cheap, mass-produced gin flooded British cities in the 18th century, leading to what became known as the gin craze, a period when public drunkenness and social decay reached alarming levels. The image of the drunkard became a moral and political issue, leading to temperance movements in the 19th century. Reformers in both Europe and the United States pushed for alcohol bans, culminating in the Prohibition era in the U.S. Ironically, Prohibition only made drinking more glamorous and rebellious, with speakeasies, jazz clubs, and bootleggers turning alcohol into a symbol of freedom. Modern intoxication, from counterculture to mainstream. In the 20th century, getting wasted expanded beyond alcohol. The 1960s counterculture popularized psychedelics like LSD and marijuana as tools for expanding consciousness rather than just escaping reality. In the decades that followed, society's relationship with intoxication became increasingly complex, balancing between regulation, criminalization, and normalization. Today, alcohol remains the world's most widely used intoxicant, but attitudes toward it vary. In some societies, binge drinking is a rite of passage. In others, it's frowned upon. Meanwhile, new frontiers, such as cannabis legalization, microdosing psychedelics, and nootropics, show that humanity's fascination with altering consciousness is far from over. Why people still get wasted. Across thousands of years, one thing hasn't changed. Humans seek intoxication for a mix of pleasure, escape, ritual, and connection. Whether through ancient beer, sacramental wine, or a modern cocktail, getting wasted has always been about more than the substance itself. It's about what it means to let go of control, to feel connected, or simply to feel different. In the end, the story of getting wasted is really the story of being human, curious, creative, and forever chasing new ways to blur the edges of reality.